Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Today's game has Etienne winning the die roll and starting us off. He draws, plays an island, and passes. Desmond's got a tapped hedge maze and gets to surveil 1, keeping it on top. Shane's turn has him playing a tapped Canyon Slough and passes. Eric's also got a tap land with a Cinder Glade and ships it back to Etienne. Etienne's turn has him playing a Cascade Bluffs and then casts a Talisman Creativity. Desmond just plays a tapped Haunted Mire. Shane draws, playing out Isolated Chapel. He then plays a black and a white for a Priest of Fellrights. Eric's turn has him drawing and playing a Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. Etienne draws and redeems himself by playing an island on curve and then casts Vivi after the abomination that was last time he played it. Desmond's turn has him playing a Sunken Hollow, and he then pays 2 for a Rampant Growth. Shane's got an Exotic Orchard and casts a Warren Soul Trader. Going to combat, Shane then pokes Desmond with a Priest and passes. Eric's got a Forest and then pays 3 for a Morph Creature face down. Etienne draws and casts a Runikus File Duplication targeting Vivi, and everyone gets pinged for 1, while the original Vivi gets a +1/+1 counter. The spell then resolves and he makes a token copy, and he passes after that. Desmond's turn has him playing an Oracle of Muldrotha, and he plays a command tower off the top of his library. He then plays a tapped Temple of Malady, scrying 1 and bottoming the card. Shane's got a high market and has enough mana for Celes. As she comes in, he discards 3 cards and draws 4 cards, and then sacrifices the Priest of Fellrights to reanimate Flayer of the Hatebound. Celes in turn puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature he controls, and the Flayer then deals 5 to the copy of Vivi. Shane then swings the Warren Soul Trader at Etienne, dealing 4 and passing. Eric's caught a Forest and now has enough mana for Yarus. He then sends the Morph Creature at Desmond, who takes the hit for 2. Eric ships it after that. Etienne draws and casts a Soul Ring, which pings everyone with Vivi and gives it another counter. He then activates Vivi for mana and overloads Amizium Mortars to take everything out except for Celes. With Eric's Morph Creature getting taken out, it comes back and gets turned face up, revealing a Zoetic Caverns. Etienne passes after that. Desmond plays a Gloomlake Verge and then brings out his commander with Muldrotha. Shane's got a Clifftop Retreat and casts Mortify and targets Vivi. Etienne counters it with an Offer You Can't Refuse, which in turn pings Etienne's opponents and adds another counter to Vivi. The spell then gets countered, and Shane gets 2 treasure tokens. Shane then pays 2 to Mountain Cycle a Rune Grinder. Going to combat, Shane then swings Celes at Eric, who takes the hit. Eric plays a Mountain, casts a Morph, and passes. Etienne draws and delves away some cards to help cast a Treasure Cruise, which gets to ping everyone for 1 with a Vivi and grows it. He then plays a Command Tower and passes. Desmond draws, plays a Forest, and casts River Kelpie. He then plays a White of the Reliquary and ships it to Shane. Shane draws and plays out a Witch-Blessed Meadow untapped, taking 3. He then casts Impact Tremors, and once that's done, Stitch Together and targets the Obstinate Gargoyle. As it comes in, it puts a +1/+1 counter onto his team, and deals 1 to each of his opponents. He then unearths the Priest of Fellrights, and with the impact triggers on the stack, Eric casts Chaos Warp and targets the Priest. After shuffling, he reveals and hits a swamp. Celes does still pump the team though, and Impact Tremors does the damage. Going to combat, Shane then sends Celes at Etienne, who blocks with Vivi. Shane ships it after that. Eric's got a Carpusian Forest for turn, and then recasts Yarus. He sends his Morph creature at Shane, and Shane takes the hit. After that, Eric passes, with Etienne flashing an Ophidian Eye on Vivi during the end step, pinging his opponents for 1, and adding another counter to his commander. Etienne's got a Polluted Delta for turn, and he then casts Dig Through Time. This triggers Vivi, dealing 1 to each of his opponents and adding a counter to it, but more importantly triggers the Ophidian Eye, and draws Etienne 3 cards. Dig Through Time then resolves with Etienne keeping his best 2 of his top 7, and Etienne follows up by casting Ponder, triggering Vivi again, and adding another counter to it and dealing 1 to his opponents, plus drawing 3 more. He then follows that up by casting a Thought Vessel, dealing another 1 to each opponent, adding a counter to his commander, and drawing another 3. He now has no maximum hand size, and just gets to pass turn with a massive grip. Desmond draws, playing at a swamp and casting Shouldered. Etienne responds to this with 3 steps ahead to counter it, and Vivi pings again, and draws Etienne 3 more cards. Desmond then follows up by casting Animate Dead, and targets Shouldered. With Etienne responding this time with a Stubborn Denial. Once more Vivi deals 1 to each of his opponents, and draws him 3 more cards. Desmond then uses Muldrotha to help cast Animate Dead again, which actually gets to resolve, and finally Shouldered comes into play. This in turn has Etienne sacrificing Vivi, Shane losing Celes, and Eric sacrificing his Morph creature, which comes back and flips up as a Root Elemental, which in turn puts a Temur Warshaman into play, and Eric gets to manifest a card. After that, Desmond swings out at Etienne for 12 and passes. Shane's turn has him drawing and then replaying Celes in his main phase, discarding 3 and drawing 4. He then plays a Blazemire Verge, and he casts Bastion of Remembrance. This has Shane pinging his opponents for a total of 2, 1 from Celes and 1 from the human token thanks to the Impact Tremors. He moves to combat and sends the Obstinate Gargle at Etienne, who takes the hit for 4. Shane passes after that. Eric draws and plays at a forest, and then casts a Tunnel Tipster. He goes to combat and swings everything at Desmond. Desmond blocks Yarus with Shouldered, and Eric then casts Great Train Heist with all modes in response. This has Shouldered getting taken out, and Desmond dropping to 6, with Eric making 3 tap treasures, and draws a card. For his second combat step, Eric then sends Yarus and the Root Elemental at Etienne, the Manifest and the Tunnel Tipster at Desmond, and the Temur Warshaman at Shane. Shane chumps, but Desmond and Etienne take the damage, with Desmond getting taken out, and Etienne dropping to 3. Eric gets to make 2 more treasures, and he then passes turn. Etienne's got a mountain, and casts a Coruscation Mage with the Offspring paid. He makes a 1/1 token copy of the Mage, and then casts a Tandem Lookout, and soul bonds it with the Coruscation Mage. He then casts Sleight of Hand. This has the mages dealing 2 to each of his opponents, and Etienne gets to draw off the soulbound one, and he then casts an Arcane Signet. He pings again, and draws again, and passes. Shane draws and goes straight to combat, sending the Gargoyle at Etienne to take him out, and sending Celes at Eric. They both take their hits. Shane's second main phase then has him casting Tragic Arrogance, and Shane chooses Eric's Morph and a treasure, but has to lose his own Impact Tremors. He then passes turn. Eric draws and plays a mountain. He then casts a Morph creature. He replays Yarus, and moving to combat sends both face-down creatures at Shane. Shane takes the hit, and Eric draws 2 before passing turn. Shane draws and has not much going on, and he sends the Obstinate Gargoyle at Eric. He then passes after that. Eric's got a forest, and casts Obscuring Aether. He then casts Nylea Keen-Eyed, and swings both morphs at Shane. Shane in turn sacrifices the Gargoyle to High Market, and gets it back with no counters, but pumps Celes, and then blocks with both creatures. Both of Eric's face-down creatures then get taken out, and Eric's morph creatures come back, and flips face up as a Den Protector. Eric in turn returns Chaos Warp off the Den Protector trigger, and his second main phase then has him playing Eudora and passing. Shane draws and sends the Gargoyle at Eric, who blocks with Nylea. The Gargoyle then comes back, and Eric takes one off the Bastion from seeing it get taken out. Shane then sacrifices the Gargoyle to High Market, draining Eric for another one and gaining one from the High Market, and then passes turn. Eric's turn has him playing a Mountain and casting Ugin, Eye of the Storm. On cast, it exiles the Gargoyle, and he then upticks it with Eric gaining 3 life and drawing a card. Eric then casts a Morph and exiles Celes, and then sends everything at Shane to bring him down to 1. Eric then draws a card as well from the Morph creatures connecting, and then casts another Morph, exiling Bastion of Remembrance this time thanks to Ugin's trigger. Shane draws and recasts Celes, discarding his hand and drawing 5. He then plays a Desolate Mire, and follows up with a Benville Blood Witch. He then finds a Viscera Seer and casts that as well. In response to the Seer, Eric casts Chaos Warp and targets the Blood Witch. It shuffles in and reveals a Gamble, which stays on the top, and Shane passes after that. Eric draws and casts a Silverback Elder. He then sends everything at Shane, winning the game through combat. Game review time. So this game came over just an hour or so, and it showcased the decks pretty well, I think. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that Vivi is probably the strongest card in this game, despite the fact that it lost. It just provided Etienne with so much value, so much damage, and so much mana. Muldrotha got to do stuff with the graveyard, despite the fact that so many things got countered. Celes got to wheel and use Persist and the +1/+1 counters to kind of counteract each other. Yarus did morph things, which is what Yarus wants to do. And Vivi finally did the thing, which was just get really out of hand quickly. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.